Election day boosts Republican power on Capitol Hill, and that could reshape policies here in Texas.
So assuming Republicans take back Congress, are you planning to scale back Operation Lone Star?
That's what I'm saying.
We go one-on-one with Governor Greg Abbott, his plans on issues like abortion, immigration, and the Uvalde investigation, plus what he's saying about a potential presidential run. Victims of violent crimes across Texas waiting too long for financial help from the state. How lawmakers are responding to our investigation ahead of the next legislative session. Records missing and a backlog of complaints. A new report highlights data issues at the board in charge of monitoring your pet's veterinarian. We investigate the concerns and the new leadership promising to fix the problem.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide. This is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. Election day was good for Texas Republicans, but the red wave many people expected did not happen. South Texas was a key election battleground. National Republicans put big money and resources toward races there, eager to flip Democratic strongholds red. The GOP targeted 3 congressional districts. Democrats held 2 of them, but Republican Monica De La Cruz took District 15, becoming the first Republican to ever win that seat.
I want it to be known that my victory is not just a win for Republicans. It is a win and a victory for all South Texas.
Governor Abbott held his victory rally in South Texas. His win led the way for yet another Republican sweep of statewide offices, a streak that's lasted more than 2 decades. Politics reporter Monica Madden spoke with Governor Abbott on the eve of the election. We asked how the outcome could affect how he'll address issues ranging from immigration to the Uvalde investigation to abortion.
Will you propose revising legislation to allow for abortions in the case of rape or incest?
So listen, my goal concerning the protection of life, and it really is going to be a focus on protecting the life of the mother. There is a deep misunderstanding, apparently, about what it means to protect the life of the mother. There are some doctors who say that they don't have the authority to treat things like ectopic pregnancies or miscarriages or infections or some other dangers that mothers are going through, and I believe that's unacceptable. And so one thing that I'm going to be keenly focused on is both clarifying and making sure that the state is doing everything we possibly can to protect the life of the mother.
So you support protecting the life of the mother and clarifying the language around that. Do you support clarifying the language to allow for exceptions for rape and incest, since recent polling shows about 80% of voters do support access in those cases?
Sure. So again, my focus is on protecting both the life of the mother as well as the life of the baby.
Now to immigration. If Republicans take back Congress, will you continue this busing initiative?
So remember this. It was just 2 years ago we had the fewest border crossings in decades, and it's only under the Biden administration that we've had a record-breaking highest number ever of illegal border crossings. And so what we are hoping is that the newly elected Republican Congress, which we do believe Republicans will gain control of both the U.S. House and U.S. Senate, that they will return to the policies that Republicans had in place that led to that record low number of people crossing the border. If the Republicans do that, if they fully fund Border Patrol, fully fund and restore ICE to the rightful position and duties on the border, return to building the border wall, and reimburse the state of Texas for everything that we've had to spend to do the federal government's job, that means Texas will no longer have to be doing what we're doing. This is a federal responsibility under Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution. It's time for the federal government to step up and do their job. We believe the Republicans will do that. And if they do, that means Texas can ratchet back what we need to do to secure our own property.
So assuming Republicans take back Congress, are you planning to scale back Operation Lone Star?
That's what I'm saying is if not just if they take back Congress, but assuming they do take back Congress and assuming that they fulfilled the promises they have already made to secure the border, that will allow Texas to ratchet back what we are doing to do the federal government's job to secure the border.
I want to pivot now to Uvalde because many of the victims' families have gone public about voting for your opponent, Beto O'Rourke, amid their calls for accountability. DPS Director Stephen McCraw has said that he would resign if there was any culpability amongst DPS for its response to the shooting. Do you think that DPS has culpability for the failed response that day?
Well, here's what we do know, and that is one DPS officer has already resigned. Others have been suspended. Others are under investigation. And I'll tell you why. And that's because at the time the shooting took place, the Columbine protocol was in place. That protocol required anybody in a situation with a live shooting action at a school to run toward the shooter and take them out. And there are investigations that continue as we speak right now by the FBI, by the district attorney, by the Texas Rangers themselves, as well as by the Texas legislature to evaluate the conduct of all law enforcement officers on the scene that day. And we will await the determination of those investigations and the information that they provide to make decisions about what the future holds for everybody.
So based on the current investigations, the resignation, the suspensions, do you think DPS has some responsibility for the 91 troopers who responded to the shooting on May 24th?
Well, listen, the way it looks is that there may be some DPS officers who did not adhere to the Columbine protocol, and that would be a level of responsibility by them as well as the others who were there. Remember this, and that is the school district police chief has resigned. Pretty much the entire police department for Uvalde has been put on suspension. And so law enforcement at the local, state, and I believe at the federal level also, all have a degree of responsibility and accountability that must be determined here once we find out all the facts that the investigation provides.
In a September interview, you said that the public should see every second of what happened that day when you were asked about DPS body cam footage from Uvalde, and only some of that has been made public due to media leaks. As governor, have you personally called Director McCraw or the Uvalde district attorney to release this information that you believe should be public?
Listen, I've been publicly clear by making public statements repeatedly that all of this information should be made available to the people in Uvalde ASAP, and that was as in months ago. And listen, I lived up to the same standard because I was pretty much the first person to release information that was requested of me. I wrote down notes the day that I was there and wrote down everything that the investigating officers told me that occurred at that time. And I released my notes publicly, and I think all other agencies should follow that standard.
All right, Governor, last question. You've been rumored to be a presidential contender for 2024. Are you committed to serving your full term as governor if reelected?
I sure am. My focus is on the great state of Texas.
All right, Governor Greg Abbott, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We also asked the governor about his plans to cut property taxes and his proposals to combat crime in Texas. You can see the full interview right now posted on our website. Just look for the link in the Texas Politics section. Republican gains could give Texans more influence on Capitol Hill. We go one-on-one with a Texan in a powerful position about how the changes in Congress could shape key policy decisions ahead. More lawmakers weighing in on fixing the state system meant to help victims of violent crimes. See what they have to say about what we discovered. Held Up, our ongoing investigation, coming up.